Hi guys, it's Olivia here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today I'm here to tell you all of my reading plans for the month of October. So the truth of the matter is there is no way possible that I'm going to be able to read all of these books, but I'm going to try my very best because there are just so many things that are exciting that are happening in October, and I've just been feeling a bit motivated to read lately. So let's talk about all of these books and all of these events. So the first event I want to tell you about is Library Loves, and this is going to be hosted by Jessica from Read by Jess, and she has a couple of co-hosts, and these are all the co-hosts that are joining, and I'll link to all of them down below. But yes, I am a co-host, so I will be reading a bunch of books from my library this month. I usually read from my library while I'm here in Australia, and if you see an ebook version for one of these books that I'm going to talk about in this video, it's probably because I'm going to be borrowing the physical book from the library and don't have it now. But I do have a couple of library loans out, exactly this many. You can take 10 out from the library, and I'm going to show you what books I have out for my library loans, and those are Monstrous Volume 3, which I'm very much looking forward to reading because I have enjoyed the previous two volumes so much. I also plan to read Saga Volume 1. I've heard so much about this series on booktube and I cannot wait to get into them. I also plan to read Umbrella Academy Volume 1. My sisters really love this series and I just want to try the graphic novels before I delve into the TV show. Also, Paper Girls Volume 5. I have been reading this series and I think it's just okay, but for some reason I am addicted and keep reading, so I will just be getting along to the next one. In the spirit of more graphic novels, I also have Nimona, and that is by Noelle Stevenson. And I've heard that this one has to do with anti-heroes, and that is why I'm intrigued to read it. I'm not going to be giving proper synopses, by the way. I'm just going to fly through these books because there's 27 of them. Moving on from the other libraries, so we have two libraries here that I can borrow books from, and I got This Is What Gives Us Time, and this one is by Kevin Brophy. So this is a poetry collection, and as you'll see in my September wrap-up, I have just been in the mood to read a lot of poetry lately, so I got a couple collections, and this is one I'm looking forward to reading as well. The Woman and the Men by Nikki Giovanni. I read another poetry collection by Nikki Giovanni in August, at the end of August, and I really loved it, so I wanted to try more of Nikki Giovanni's works. And lastly, we've got Spin Softly, A Black Song, and this one is by Nikki Giovanni and Martins, and it's actually a children's picture book, which I thought was a poetry book, but it's like poetry and children's reading combined, so I'll probably fly through this one in an hour or two. Those are all the library loans that I have out, and now we're moving on to the second event that's happening, and that is the Disability Readathon. Now, I didn't want to join readathons this month, but I had to join the Disability Readathon, and here's the deal. I think that in books in general, I love seeing that we're getting a lot more mental health rep, and that is absolutely fantastic. I love talking about mental health illnesses. I love learning about them, and I don't think we have enough of those books yet, so we definitely need more of them. But what I definitely see even less is physical challenges and physical disabilities represented in books, and even less wheelchair representation, and especially not as a main character. So I struggle to find some that I have access to, but I'm going to do my very best to have physical disabilities as well as some mental illnesses in my reading list. I'm not going to tell you which prompts fit to what because we're running on limited time here, but the first book I have on my reading list is The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. This is one that I've had on my shelves for absolutely ages, and I want to very much finally get around to reading it. I know that the main character has autism, and I don't really know much else than that, but I'm very much looking forward to it. Then I'm doubling up because I want to survive reading this month. So Monstrous Volume 3 is going to be one of my prompt fillers, and that has a main character who has only one arm, so that is why she fits for the Disability Readathon. Then, for one of the prompts, I'm going to try and read Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I have not read this before. I am so excited to finally have this book in my hands. I won this in a giveaway from Jenny Lee on Twitter, so I'll have a link to her Twitter down below. And I've heard that one of the main characters needs to walk with a cane. I'm not sure what his physical disability is, but I will be able to tell you more when I finish reading this one. Then I've got History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. I'm going to be buddy reading this with someone, and it's also got mental illness representation, I believe. And as well as that, the characters are going through grief, and grieving is something that I feel is a state where our mental health is not at its best. I also always count that. Last but not least, I have a reread of a middle grade, and that is Out of My Mind by Sharon M. Draper. The library doesn't have this, and my copy's at home, so I don't know how I'm going to read this yet. I might have to buy the ebook, but I cannot wait to reread this gem of a book. We've got a main character who has cerebral palsy. It's very intense, so she needs to be in a wheelchair all the time. So we have a main character who is a wheelchair user, and as well as that, up until now, she hasn't been able to speak due to her cerebral palsy, but there has been this kind of technology invented which allows her to speak and say things, and not everybody is ready to hear her voice and the words that she can say. It is such a powerful book, and I cannot wait to go back to it and read it all over again. The second readathon that I didn't want to join, but I'm joining anyway, is the Gilmore Girls readathon, and that's because I've just seen it all over Twitter and everybody seems so excited, and when the community as a whole is excited for a readathon, that makes me just want to join in and connect with all of you guys all the more. So I'm going to be doing this. One, I'm going to be doubling up quite a bit. So for one of the prompts, I'm going to be reading Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling. Don't know if you remember, but back in April, when I finished reading the series, I said, that's it, I'm never reading Harry Potter again, I'm done. And now I'm going to reread it, because I need to, for my children's literature course for uni. And I don't remember what happened in the first one, because I blanked it out, because I didn't enjoy it. But I'll make my way through it. Not sure how, but it's going to happen. Then for that readathon, I'm also going to try and read If on a Winter's Night, a Traveller by Italo Calvino. I think I had this on my TBR for Newts and I just didn't get around to it, so if I just keep putting it on TBRs, maybe I'll read it. Then I'm doubling up with Monstrous for one of the prompts, and I'm doubling up with History's All You Left Me for another prompt. You guys see what I'm doing here. And then for the last prompt, I'm going to be reading When Dimple Met Rishi by Sanjay Menon. This is for mother-daughter relationship, and also doubling up for Food on the Cover because she's holding a drink. This is one that I've had on my shelves for a while, and people say it's really cute, but also really meaningful and impactful, so I'm looking forward to reading it. So after all of that, there are 3 books that I also need to read for uni, and I've already told you about one of them, which is Harry Potter book 1, but the other one that I'm going to be rereading for uni is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. So it's been a very, very, very long time since I've read The Hunger Games. People seem to love this series. I thought it was okay. I loved the second book, but the third book was not for me, and the first book I thought was just okay. But I'm interested to see, after watching the movies, if I'm going back to the first book and finding it more enjoyable. So I'm going to give it a go and see what I think of it. And lastly, for uni, I need to read The Tales from Outer Suburbia by Sean Tan, which is an Australian author who's writing this one. Don't know much about it, but I'm always down to read more books by Australian authors while I'm here and like in my future as well. Then it would be very nice if I could finish some of my current reads, because at the end of September I've just decided to start a bunch of books and not finish them. So let's talk about my current reads. I'm currently listening to Sadie by Courtney Summers on Audible, and I am enjoying it so far. I was buddy reading this one, but my buddy reader DNF'd it, so so I'll just be reading it by myself when I'm walking to and from uni. I'm also reading How to Blong with a Billionaire by Alexis Hall, and this is the third and final book in the How to Bang a Billionaire series. I was really enjoying this series. I loved the first 2. I have to admit, this third one is just not off to a great start, so that's great. That was also one of my 5-star predictions, so hopefully it'll pick up soon and I'll be back to loving it. I am also stuck into the middle of 2 buddy reads, and those are The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, and I am enjoying it so far. Like, I feel like it's going the way that every single fantasy read goes so far in the beginning, and I can predict like little things, but this is a big boy, and we've got a while to go, so hopefully they'll pick up soon and become a bit more unpredictable, and I'll be able to fall in love with it. And then I'm also in the middle of buddy reading The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. The beginning of it didn't really tickle my fancy. It's getting a bit better now, and hopefully we'll just continue to get better as we go along and the romance kicks in. And I am also planning to buddy read a bunch of stuff with a bunch of different people. So I asked for buddy reads on Twitter and a lot of people got back to me, and I'm very good at multitasking buddy reads, so I don't really mind doing this, but there's quite a lot of them, so let's just run through it. So the first one is My Sister, the Serial Killer, and this is one I've been meaning to read for a while. I like thrillers, and I'm just very curious because this was on a lot of book prizes long lists or short lists, so that's going to be an interesting one, and it's pretty short. I've also got It by Stephen King. I really want to watch the movie, and I've owned this one again for a while, so I'm very much looking forward to getting through it. It is a chunker though. It is a chunker, and hopefully it'll be good. I'm also going to be buddy reading Throne of Glass with the Word Nerd, Margaret from the Word Nerd, and I am a bit nervous. I don't think I'm going to like it, but I have the first two books, so I think I should give them a try. So I've had this one again for a while. I think it's one of the oldest books that I own that I haven't read, so. Then History's All You Left Me is a buddy read. I'm also going to be reading On Beauty by Zadie Smith. I really don't know that much about this book, but Zadie Smith is a renowned author and I'm looking forward to trying something by her. And we've also got Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. Again, Alice Oseman is so hyped, and Radio Silence especially is one that people seem to love. So I'm hoping that I'm going to love it too. And then lastly, for a buddy read, I have The Island by M.A. Bennett. So I did film a Malta vlog and then that whole footage got lost. RIP to my Malta vlog. But in Malta, I read 239 pages of a 365 book. I literally got to the end and then I was like, lol jokes, pause. So I was a bit struggling my way through this one, and it's actually an arc, but it's out now. So I should have read this already. But we're going to be buddy reading it. So I'm going to start from the beginning again, and hopefully with the buddy reader along, I can get through this all the way and finally write that review. And then, last but not least, the last book I'm planning to read is Some Places More Than Other by Renee Watson, and I'll definitely be getting to this one. This is a middle grade that is diverse, and it follows this young girl who's trying to learn more about her heritage and where she fits in. So she goes to visit her father's family in New York, but she finds out that it's not as easy as she planned it is to fit in and figure out her own identity. I'm loving some black main characters. I love black female main characters. I'm starting to get into reading middle grade more, and this is so colourful and it looks really happy. I'll be reviewing this one on my blog, so do look out for that if you follow my blog, link down below as well. Whew, that is a big stack of books. So those are all the books I'm hoping to finish and read. I don't think I can do it because in total that is 27 books, and let's be real, I pushed hard to fit 17 in. I have read 30 books in a month before, but you know, that was old me. This is new me. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know in the comment section down below what are your reading plans for October and what book are you most excited to read this month. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.